Hello, podcast listeners. This is your host with the most, JJ. Can't wait for you to listen to this episode. The only thing I hope is that I'm not gifted any VHS tapes. As long as this doesn't happen, it'll be a great episode. Tucker and I are going to answer some icebreaker questions, and you're going to find more about our personalities. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirls as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
JJ, have you heard of the concept of love languages?
Love languages?
Yeah, like
the things that you do to show someone how much you care about them. So, for example, one of my love languages is cooking for people.
Yeah. So I have a love language that I've discovered recently.
Yeah.
And that love language is giving people VHS tapes that they probably don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, more than likely, they're not interested in.
So you like your love language is burdening.
Specifically with VHS tapes, but there's like a message that comes with it, right? Like, I was thinking about you, and these tapes prove it. I wanted to start with that before I gave you this bag.
Oh God,
because I don't want you to just reject it outright. I want you to understand that this is my love language.
So you've got a bag of something, and you've prefaced the conversation by saying it's VHS tapes that people don't want.
Well, I don't know if they want them or not, which means I don't know. You probably don't want these, but I'm giving them to you, and I don't want you to be like, oh, I don't want these.
Now, how do I know that these are just not tapes that you don't want, and so it's time for you to just give them up?
Because they're specially curated to your tastes.
Okay.
He's reaching over. He's getting the bag. It smells like McDonald's because I had kept my McDonald's breakfast, our McDonald's breakfast, in it when I was walking up here.
Oh my God.
There are 5 VHS tapes. It's not a crazy amount.
There's John Hughes's Uncle Buck, which, interesting fact, when my mom bought this, she crossed off the Buck and put Wes because of my Uncle Wes reminded us of John Candy. Then there's Brewster's Millions, which this goes to show you how big of a star John Candy was. Richard Pryor is the star of Brewster's Millions, and they put John Candy right on the cover. Do you know the premise of this movie?
Yeah, so like Richard Pryor inherits a bunch of money with a caveat that he has to spend it in a certain amount of time, and if he does that, he gets even more money.
Right, exactly.
It's the craziest premise on earth.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which, look at how simple the case, like the artwork on Planes, Trains is just them sitting on a bench. It's off-centered, and then the title. That's it. Very clean.
That's why I love so much vintage VHS packaging, because you see much more of that before they really got before they had Photoshop, right?
Also, I've been checking to see if they've been rewound. Most of them have. Call the Cops, starring John Candy, which I don't know if I know this movie.
Exactly. And when I picked it up, I was like, what is this? I have no idea what that is. And I'm wrong. It was 6 tapes. Not
John
5.
Candy, Great Buck, and Uncle Buck in Great Outdoors provides big-time laughs as a small-time cop in this outrageous comedy caper. Also, the S's are really weird in this. This offbeat officer is on the beat and on the scene and on the hot trail of a kidnapping. As usual, John Candy is in way over his head and attempting to keep the streets a little bit safer and a whole lot funnier. Get this. Did you see where this is distributed from?
No.
Mitten Tech Entertainment, Prior Lake, Minnesota.
Really? Okay.
1991.
Okay.
Interesting. So I'm wondering if this has to do anything with like Prince.
I love how the on the back of it, it's just 2 like photos of him, one right next to the other, basically the same setup. One, he's got his arms up.
And it looks like they're not even behind the scenes photos.
But so that's another example though of older packaging that I love, where the cover, it's not a poster design for it. It's literally just some still from the movie.
I got to be honest. I think that these are stills from other movies. If I'm going to be honest,
they might be.
I think that this is from the cover is him from the Eugene Levy movie where they're security guards, God. And I think the back photos are from Who's Harry Crumb.
That's what I think they are too. So
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
So maybe he may only have like a walk-on role on Call the Cops.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we're going to now advertise the movie around him. So
okay. And then a Hanna-Barbera collection, How the Flintstones Saved Christmas, and then a Jetsons Christmas Carol, which is an adaptation of the Christmas Carol I've never seen.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've gotten you. So far, I've gotten.
This is also from the Sagan family.
Yeah.
According to some writing on the back. Oh, interesting. And then a Hanna-Barbera's Christmas Sing-Along. Special holiday songbook included.
Yeah. Which is not actually
It's not in there.
No.
Oh, you know, it's interesting. This is actually the VHS for the Simpson or the How the Christmas Saved blah blah blah. And so I wonder if this is the right one for
What's
this.
that one?
Nope, they're both. They're both the same tape, but different in different things. They're both the same tape in different VHS
One
cases.
says a sing along.
Yeah, and then this one is not.
Well,
so that's fun.
That one laid a goose egg.
Thank you for this gift. These are not burdens. So
good.
I told my wife, inspired by you, one of the things I want to do next year when we decorate for Christmas, because we pull out a ton of stuff for Christmas, is to have like a VHS library we put on our piano.
Nice.
That people can be like, and they're all holiday movies, right? So like, because it's fun to hold like the old Home Alone and stuff like that.
Right. I do have way too many tapes though, but but these are all from the last week of hitting thrift shops. Yep. Yeah.
Good for you.
There's you and a few other people who are like, just like, this stack makes me think of you.
Yeah. I love the Little Giants one that you gave me.
I'm probably close to being done though, finding tapes that would be like, this reminds me of JJ, which versus like, I've already given him this one.
Oh, don't worry. Every now and then, which I mean like every day, some old person dies who has a bunch of VHS tapes still, and then their kids are like, we don't want this crap, and so they bring it to the boys' ranch.
You know, I have weird theories about the flow of VHS tapes in this town.
Yeah.
With the thrift shops in town. So I wonder, and I just need to ask someone at a counter, but so I hit, let me see, I hit a couple boys' ranches, a couple of the Arcs, a St. Francis, and I hit one called Second Time Around thrift shop in Dilworth. And I will note, so I go twice a week usually, and it takes me about half an hour to like hit everything. So like I just go and fit it in during like errands or something like, oh, I'm going to go look at tapes too. So I'm seeing them all the time, because there are actually a lot of collectors in town. There's a lot of people who are out doing the same hunt. So I know I have to up my game if I'm going to get to things before they do, right? So I've got the tapes cost like a dime, and I can go to multiple places. So I will then see, I'll recognize, okay, this place hasn't turned over their tapes in 2 weeks. I can tell I've been seeing the same stuff. And then I can tell, oh, they've definitely injected new things in here. This is set up differently. Well, I'll notice like 1 week, for some reason, that particular week, every place has dinosaurs tapes. Like all of a sudden. Or every store is suddenly flush with Titanics. Or every store suddenly has this particular thing that they didn't have before, and suddenly they all have a copy of it. And it makes me wonder, like, is there like a service that just supplies all these different thrift shops with donations, right? So there's like a donation center that is just
like a Great Plains food bank, but for VHS tapes.
Well, no, not specifically VHS tapes. I'm specifically goods that would go to thrift shops, because I know these places get direct donations. But if there's someone who is like, they have a large hoard of just stuff and they're parceling it out to everything at the same time, if that would make any sense. And this lady the other day made reference to the guy that brings in the VHS tapes, like the guy who handles their media. Mm-hmm. She was like, there's a guy who just does that for us. And so I don't think it's an employee. I think it's like someone outside of it.
I mean, I know that like for the Boys Ranch, for example, I've been there to their warehouse,
Mhm.
and they've got this just gigantic like warehouse, and so maybe that's part of it, right? Is you cycle through and you place your orders, and like, hey, no one's bought a VHS tape in a week, so we clearly don't have the hot stuff out right now.
Right.
And you kind of wonder, like, maybe they hold a bunch of holiday. I mean, because maybe they hold a bunch of Christmas stuff that comes out only at Christmas time.
Yeah, I have
and
no
so
idea.
on and so forth.
I'll put it this way, though. I have not seen a Jurassic Park in a long time.
You've skimmed the market.
I think I have, at least locally, a monopoly on Jurassic Parks. I certainly do.
Good for you.
I know, right? I've cornered the market. So
Good for you.
that's step one. Step two is to develop a cryptocurrency that's backed by these VHS tapes. Now that I've cornered the market. Step three is popularizing that cryptocurrency.
Now, would you call it like Jurassic Bucks? Would you call it, you know?
I'm trying to think if in the movie if they have any sort of name for a credit.
Coupon Day is
a
all I
coupon
believe that
day.
they reference. So I collect like toys associated with Jurassic Park.
And a worthy endeavor.
Right. And
Jurassic Park is one of the best movies ever made.
all time, right? So recently they released a special San Diego Comic-Con. It's the T-Rex, and it's Gennaro with where the T-Rex eats him off the toilet. So it comes with a little toilet, comes with Gennaro, comes with like scattered stuff around there. And the T-Rex toy that they made has an articulating jaw that actually allows you to put the body completely like in the mouth and stuff like that. So you can recreate scenes from the movie. Also, the skin of the T-Rex is made to look like it's wet because it's during the rain sequence.
Right.
So it went for $80 at Comic-Con. Of course, they all got bought out. And so now it's $175 on eBay. And I have to think, like, do I want to pay $175 for that?
See,
I don't know.
Yeah, like, you know, it just depends on the thing and what you think you're getting out of it. And if you think the price is major inflated right now, or if you think you're going to get it for something later. I go on eBay, and what people think they can sell VHS tapes for is hilarious.
Yeah.
And all of the trading groups that I like belong to on Facebook, they almost uniformly have a rule of like, if you're listing tapes above $3 to $5, then
get out of here.
Get out of here, right?
We don't want you. Tucker, pick a number 1 through 75.
75.
God damn it. Of course. Okay. If you had a time machine but could only use it once, would you go back in time or visit the future?
Future.
Okay. Any particular part of the future?
Well,
how far?
How would I mean, I would just have to it'd be throwing a dart at a board, right? I have no idea. Like, at least if I'm going to the past, I can pick an era,
right?
Go to that time. So I'm looking for space travel is really what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And longevity, I guess, health longevity. I would put it that way. Health longevity first. I would want to exist in a time where the science has gotten to the point where your existence could go for eons if you want, and in a healthy, happy way. I would go there. But if that's just completely out of the cards, I'd go wherever there's space travel.
So how far in the future do you think that is?
I don't want to guess a minimum, but I think at a maximum 1,000 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just go. I think
you'll go to 3022.
I would say in 1,000 years from now, I would hope either we have destroyed ourselves, so I'm arriving on like just a barren nuclear wasteland, or it's Star Trek time, right? Like, we've got outer space shit going on. We've got theories of consciousness that allow you to download yourself into a computer. You could last forever, build yourself a new body. That's what I want.
So the problem with this time machine is the reason you can only take one trip is because it's powered by a kiss on the mouth to your dad.
Okay.
So that's how you power it. So that's why you can't come back, is because your dad's not around anymore. And so you harness the power of a father-son kiss to get back in time.
How are you going to get to the future, JJ?
I can't. I missed my shot. I missed it completely. So, like, unless
you saw my dad, like, time's running out.
I know, right? That's the thing is you don't have a long. That's why you can't put it off for like another day. So, like, when someone comes to you with this and they said, like, listen, your dad tomorrow, you don't know, could get hit by a bus,
right?
Could your future self could come back and murder your dad? You don't know.
I would forego the trip to the future then, because I would want it to be something where I could do it once my family was dead. like they've lived their lives, and I'm not saying goodbye to them now, right?
Oh,
'Cause,
sure.
like,
But
jumping
that's-
into the time machine would be saying goodbye forever, right?
Right. And also, like, you'd be the rest of the story that everyone would tell would be like, well, what happened to Uncle Tucker? Well, one day he kissed Grandpa and then he disappeared.
But then I think what I'd have to find out then is like, well, if I have a son, could we kiss and power the time machine?
That's a good question. But like, yeah, that's a good question. That's a paradox is what they call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would actually go to the past.
Okay.
I think that my time would have thrived being alive like in the mid 70s. And so like if I could go back to where I am right now, like I would love being in the mid 70s because I assume I've got all of the knowledge I have right now, right? It's not some kind of mystical thing. It's a mechanical thing. So I would first of all be able to set myself up for vast riches because I'm like, this IBM thing, guys, put some money into it.
But at what point does you tampering with that totally change the outcome then? So that at what point is what you believe set in stone no longer certain?
So, right. And so that's the thing is I get to just be this weird watcher that goes on with things. So like my investment doesn't come like I don't approach Steve Jobs in his garage.
Oh,
Apple's already started and I see the opportunity.
You're not saying I can't wait to go out and disco.
Right.
You're saying I'm going to get an apartment somewhere at the top of a tall building where so I'm clearly you're bringing some funds back with you that you can spend, probably like precious metals or something that you can pawn off, right? So that you can then live like a king, but in secret, and then just leech off the wealth of the world as it accrues.
But the thing I'm most excited about is going to like opening night of Labyrinth. And like watching a crowd experience that for the first time ever.
But you step on a butterfly's wings and pretty soon.
And what's the worst thing that could happen? I
Mars.
just disappear?
I don't know. Well, no, I don't think you disappear.
Because I changed the future enough to where like I don't exist anymore.
No, I think you've stepped out of the causal time stream and re-entered at a different place. So I think you play at different rules.
Okay.
The reality that you came from no longer exists, and it's probably true the moment that you time travel, right, and arrive in the 1970s.
It's the Jane Goodall paradox, right? Like she's not studying apes anymore. The apes are studying her because her mere presence has changed the way they're dynamic.
Right. I think documentarians get referred to that way as well because they are interacting with their subject in some meaningful way that's going to have an effect, and you'd be having an effect.
Okay. Pick another number.
1.
Of course. Why? I mean, I just have to scroll. It's not like hurting me. It's not like I'm cranking.
Yeah,
some
it's
kind
not
of
like
thing.
you're like coming up with an improv here. You're reading off of an app.
Coming up with an improv. Yep. By the way,
is that like? Did that sound to you just like when your mom would be like, "Why don't you go play Nintendo?" And it's like, "Mom, it's a Sega Genesis."
She's like, Super Mario Brothers is on. Yes, that's what it feels like. What's the last book you read? Do you recommend it?
What is the last book I read? I mean, I have read, but I'm trying to remember the last one.
I picked up that Lincoln at the Bardo.
Oh yeah,
book that you recommend, and I have yet to crack it yet.
That's cool.
And so it's on my list of things.
I'm trying to remember the last book. I mean, I'm slowly but surely finishing book 6 of like Dune.
Oh,
so that's what I've been doing, but really slowly, and not that because I don't like it. It's just been when my attention span can like go to it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the last book was that I finished though. Yeah, that makes me sound really dumb.
No, I mean,
because I'm like, oh, did I read a book? I know I did read a book.
We all do different things at different paces, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I got to think. You know what I did confirm though, which broke my heart, is that I don't have my old box set of the Chronicles of Narnia anymore that my mom had gifted me when I was a kid. I've gone through now officially every tub and box that I have. That is so. At some point in the past, I don't remember when I did it. I sold it at a garage sale or what? I have no clue. I don't remember whatsoever getting rid of it. I feel like I wouldn't have gotten rid of it. So it must have accidentally gotten thrown out or something at some point. So at some point I'm going to buck up and get out there onto eBay and start looking for this specific box set so I can at least have it.
I'm going to write a children's series of books called The Chronicles of Arnia, which is a little girl named Arnia. And it's about how tough it is to be in 7th grade.
I thought it was just going to be the exact same thing, but you've removed the first letter of every character's name.
It is, yeah.
Therefore, it's now changed.
So it's Eater instead of Peter. I don't know. I can't remember what the other ones.
Did you read through those books?
No, I did not. But I watched the like BBC version, like because they did like a full adaptation of everything. That was amazing before like the big Disneyfied one.
I have a bunch of those on VHS.
Those PBS ones?
Yep.
Yeah,
the PBS ones.
Hey, can I say something right now about? I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't like James McAvoy, and I don't think that he's a good actor, and I don't think that he is. I just don't like James McAvoy. I watched X-Men First Class last night. He plays Mr. Tumnus in the Disney Chronicles of Narnia. Just a bad actor, and like I saw that movie where he had multiple personalities, and I'm like, I could do that.
You think
he just sits there and he's like, they're like, all right, you're a little boy. I'm a little boy now. All right, now you're a biker. I'm a biker.
You think he's bad?
I think he's bad. I think he's a
pretty face with some nice hair.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I think like he was able to sit there and they're like, are you willing to shave your head? And that was the one thing that they asked from him. And he's like, I will, but not in the first X-Men movie. You gotta let me get a couple under my belt before I shave that thing.
Yeah. No, I am. Did you see all of the like Marvel announcements for like their next like 2 years?
Yeah.
So it makes me happy as a simp for Marvel, someone who has been obsessed with this world since I was just a baby boy. So for me, it's like, yep, give me all the shows. I'm down for it. I love that they've got like basically 20 or so different properties coming out in the next 2 years. For me, that's absolutely awesome. And the showings that they've been doing have been pretty great, but there's in 24, they showed like 8 empty date slots and they were like, we're not going to tell you what these are quite yet. So I'm in there, I'm going, what's X-Men? Please X-Men be in there. Please give me my X-Men. Because my initial obsessions as a kid, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men. Those two things, right? And so the X-Men have been something that I've just been obsessed with since the 2nd grade. And I need the X-Men, like an X-Men that I recognize. Like I love the first 2 Fox movies because they did stuff for the superhero genre we've never seen before. And they brought the X-Men to the screen, right? So that was cool. But it always felt to me like the cool Hollywood version of it. We're like, oh, they're not going to be in colorful outfits. They're going to be in leather suits, and Wolverine's going to be tall, dark, and handsome. And there's going to be all this stuff that we're going to do that's just different. And it's like, okay, thank you for that. But now I really want something beyond that. So I'm really looking forward to how they approach it. And I need the X-Men to come out.
And you need it to be good.
Oh, yes, please.
The last book I read, by the way, was A Lion in the White House, which is kind of a biography of the years that Teddy Roosevelt spent as the president of the United States. And, you know, I knew that he was into conservation. I had no idea how deep he was into conservation. Like, he insisted that there'd be no Christmas tree. He's like, why chop down a beautiful tree just so that you can enjoy it for a few days for a holiday? And so very, very interesting dude, that Teddy Roosevelt, and led an interesting life. And I sort of was thinking like, that's the kind of president we need right now, is right. Like the president who was like, listen guys, this meeting's going too long. I got to go mountain biking. I just got to get going for a little bit.
Obama was at least physically capable of doing that.
Right. Like, have you ever seen that shot where like he throws like a basketball like from like half court and it goes in, and then he's got like a line, you're like, that's how you do it. And then he walks off the court, and he of course probably had been like making shots, but I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay, pick another number 1 through 75, but you can't pick 1 again or 75.
29.
29. Okay, here we go. What's the best advice you've ever received? Did you follow it? That's an interesting question. The best advice you ever received. You know what? I'll tell you a piece of advice that I got from a very unlikely source. There was a former teacher in Monoman named Al Colligan. And Al was a longtime manager for WeFest. So he had managed different campgrounds. Older guy, but you could tell like his teacher sensibility kind of like, played into everything in his life. So he's really patient, and he was very specific in what he wanted people to do and very clear in those instructions. So the first year I was allowed to manage a campground, they're like, Al's going to kind of train you as a manager to make sure you're good. And so one of the things that would happen is when you'd come into a campground, there'd be 4 lanes that your car could pull up to. And these lanes, you'd hand over your tickets to a runner. The runner would go to the box office, get you the wristbands and things that you needed back, come back, check you in, put a sticker in your car, says you're allowed to come and go from the space, show you like this is the campground. You can camp anywhere here. And so there's a lot that went on there. And it's not unheard of to have lines that go miles long because, so many people are trying to get processed at one time.
Right.
And so there's a front manager and a back manager. I shined as a front manager. So I'm overseeing about like 15 people who are all runners working back and forth, making this happen. And so we had this huge long line. And so I was running back and forth, helping, with the runners to try and alleviate this line. And Al calmly pulled me aside and he goes, "You're focusing on the small picture and you need to focus on the big picture." And I'm like, "I'm just trying to help the line, Al." And he goes, I know. But what you're missing here is this. And so he kind of brought me to the top of this little hill and he showed me, he goes, "So you're missing this. This runner right here has been at this car for 8 minutes. There's something wrong going on at this car. And so they probably need your help to step in, or maybe there's something nefarious happen. Maybe, this runner's taking a bribe and none of these people are 21, but they're going to bring all 21 wristbands over or whatever it is." He goes, "Also, do you see over here? There's a backup with people trying to get into the campground. So they're all going to the left and when they should be going straight down." And so he goes, "So you need to get your back manager over here to run people." And he showed me the fact that like by helping with the smaller stuff, I was missing an opportunity to help everybody with the bigger stuff. And he said, "If someone says I need to go to the bathroom, could you cover my lane?" That's when you cover a lane. But beyond that, you should be looking for things that they don't look at. And so he said, that's the whole, the whole point of the queen in an anthill is to focus on the bigger picture, right? It's to make as many babies and whatever the queen does.
So when you're there,
the individual ants all have a job and they entrust them to do their job. And so I've put that into place a lot of times. Some people call it like sink or swim. Like I hate a manager who goes like this. "Oh, well, listen, trial by fire. They're either going to succeed or they're not." And I'm like, well, you should hope that everyone that you're working with succeeds.
Right.
So why are you like just going out there? I'm like, you can let someone work on their own, devices, but like pop in and say, "Is everything going all right? Can I do anything for you? Do you need anything?" And, be present for them. Don't think that like, listen, I just put you in the middle of an ocean. You need to figure out how to build the engine. How about you? Any advice that you've ever received?
Well, I mean, the thing that is coming up in my mind right now, I've received so much advice. So I'm not currently delving into my brain to find the right piece to really bring up. But the one that's sticking out was at the beginning of the pandemic when I talked to Mama Luke on the phone, and she had talked about just the terrors of World War II and all the crap they had to go through during that period of time. And she had essentially told me, if my generation could get through that, your generation can get through this. So it was more or less, I wouldn't say it was advice per se, in that she wasn't like giving a strategy or whatever, but she was saying this is not nearly as big of a hurdle as you think it is, because this will be done faster than a world war will be, and we were able to get through that. So that sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's a nice little piece of wisdom.
Yeah.
Do you think about that on a basis now, like for any like struggle or anything like that? I mean, does it come to mind?
It comes up. It's always a good idea to try to reset focus on what your circumstances actually are.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, if you're in a drive-through in your car and you feel like it's going slow and you're like, "Come on, this is going slow." Well, if you just take a second to go, listen, where are you right now? Are you in your car that has fuel in it, that has air conditioning in it right now? Are you about to go hang out with your friend and make a podcast? Compare your existence right now to the person who's in the building making the food you just ordered, right? Would you rather be where they are right now or where you are right now? And I was like, I'd rather be where I am right now. And it's like, I don't take enough time to do that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the thing is whenever I'm in that mood and I can recognize that I'm in that sort of mental state, go listen, you've won the lottery here, dude. Whatever it is that's bothering you, you're still doing better than 99% of the people on the planet.
Yeah. And that's something we could all take stock in a little bit more on a regular basis when you're like, oh my God, the internet's out.
Right. I mean, if you think about our ancestors, you and I's, we live like kings, right?
We do.
Like emperors compared to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy the amount of resources that we have access to.
I wish
for how long, who knows, but
yeah, you go. There you go. Okay, pick another number. You've had 29, 1, and 75.
Okay, 28.
Oh, okay. So, what would you like to be your legacy? So, I think about this a lot. I think that's one of the things that draws me to wanting to be like in movies is because there are movie stars who are long gone but are still remembered because of something that they left for the world, right? So
they still have a presence.
Right. Take a John Wayne, for example, right? John Wayne's been gone for decades, but it's still a household name.
Yep.
And it's instantly recognizable. Walt Disney, Jim Henson, these are people who've led amazing lives and left a long-lasting legacy. All I want in my legacy, if I'm going to be blatantly honest, is I just want the world to be a better place because I wasn't so lazy to let it crumble under my watch. I think of my grandfather a lot. So my grandfather on my mom's side, very civic minded. His dad was the mayor of Fargo, and he strategically left funds and resources to places like Bonanzaville and things like that. And what I think amazes me the most is the current generation that's doing that same thing wants their name all over it, right? So there's a new hockey rink in town. Well, it's got to be named after me if I'm going to donate money to it. I want I want this thing to be named after me. And naming rights are a huge thing. And I think of that previous generation, like my grandfather's generation, who not everything's named after them, right? So the only time something does get named after them is when someone insists. They didn't buy the naming rights. They just knew they needed to do it because this is what would be good for the town.
Well, and I think it's getting like a property named after you or a structure named after you is actually a really short play. That's just for you in that moment then while you're alive. Because when you die, very few people are going to be like, oh, I think about the person this building is named after on a daily. No, you don't. You say the name of the building and that's about it. It becomes just, oh, that's that building that we call it that thing versus something that's more concrete, you as a person and the effect that you had. I think my answer to this, I'm sure will change over time. Part of my legacy is I want to have children. So I actually have a, biological genetic legacy, I guess, have offspring. But beyond that,
why? So that you can kiss them and travel in time? Is
so
that
I
you
can
are?
Travel into the future.
I need a son, damn it.
Thank you for inventing the creepiest way to fuel fucking time machine.
I mean, there's a lot of microchips and stuff involved in it too, but like that is that's the missing element.
But I think you can, at a minimum, go by the campfire rule, which is, leave the campsite in better shape than when you found it. And so at a minimum, hopefully I can do that. And I think, I would hope that I've lived a life where my funeral is packed, where it's just massive, right? Because that many people felt impacted by my life. So I would hope it would be something along those lines. But I don't know. Do you think about life after death at all?
No.
Mm-mm. I've been thinking about it a lot, but not in like a anxiety.
Like, are you talking about like an afterlife of some kind, or
like the what we are question kind of a thing? Yeah. I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
I actually try not to think about it at all because I'm so poorly educated on beliefs. You know, when it comes down to it,
You don't have to be educated on. I'm not educated on beliefs.
But that's the thing is like, right? Like, so I don't know what other people believe. I don't know what, you know, when I hear someone say like, oh, I came out of this coma and I, you know, had this experience. I'm like, did you? Because last night I had a dream that was incredibly vivid where I was in a pickup truck and I was going to Detroit Lakes. And in this pickup truck, there was a dog that spoke to me that when I woke up, I had to tell myself, you did not go to Detroit Lakes and talk to a dog.
Don't you hate it when you fall in love with the reality of a dream?
Yes.
And you, in the dream, you think, oh, this is so awesome that this is my real life.
Yes.
And then you wake up and you realize, no, it's not your real life. There is no talking dog who's your best friend.
I know.
That sucks. I've had ones where like I'm in a spaceship and I have a crew and we're like tight. Like we're just like a family unit and we're going through space having adventures. And I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, none of them are real.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. Okay, pick another one.
Why don't you pick one?
Okay, I'm going to pick.
Pick a number between 52 and 68.
It's going to be 52. Oh, why did I do that?
See?
Okay. What's your favorite band or artist?
Ben Folds 5 is my favorite band.
Okay.
Although they're not what I listen to the most. I probably would listen to either Ween or Bob Dylan the most.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben Folds 5 is my favorite band because that was the first band I cared about. Like I actually, you know how everyone probably has that moment as they're growing up where you find a band or music artist or whatever that for some reason like just resonates with you. And it feels you like feel a little bit of ownership over it, even though you're just a fan of it, right? So like you and Dave, I'm sure is a big piece of that, right? What was the first like musical artist that you were like, I am a fan officially? Like if there was a jersey of these guys, I'd wear it.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Okay.
The song "Free Fallin'" as a kid, like, oof, it meant a lot.
Really?
Yeah, like, and I remember like taping the music video off of VH1's pop-up video and watching it over and over and over.
What was it about the song that you think?
You know, I just, to me, Tom Petty had this amazing ability to put you in a time and space. And I think Free Fallin' did that better than anything else, you know? And I'm free falling. And I got into that big time. And at my lake cabin, we had this old jukebox. And there is a 45 of Free Fallin'. And like most of the 45s were bullshit. And so this one, it was like F9. And so you'd put F9 and then you'd listen to Free Fallin', and then you go and push F9 again and F9 and F9, F9. Yeah, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And then when I saw them live in concert for the first time, I was blown away at this band that I thought were just kind of a bunch of old guys at that point. Mm-hmm. But they rocked out for 3.5 hours. They were funny. In fact, I saw him 4 times live. And the first time I saw him live, he had this line where he goes, and if you want to expand your mind, now's the time, because he's going to get into that psychedelic, like Alice in Wonderland song that he did. So that he was telling you that now's the time to smoke some ganj if you got it. Number 2, I saw him at the Excel Energy Center, and he goes, all right, we're going to play a couple songs off our new album, AKA Time to Go to the Bathroom. And I was like, God, this guy gets it. So much so that at one point I had this idea for a movie called My Summer with Petty. And the premise is this kid's parents rent a lake place for the summer. And the closest other like lake cabin on this lake is like further down, and it's behind this like, kind of big grove of trees. And Tom Petty had rented it for the summer. And so this kid goes over there to kind of like avoid some bullies. And he runs into Tom Petty, and Tom Petty's like, do you want to mow a lawn? I don't know how to mow a lawn. Do you know how to mow a lawn? Mm. And so he ends up getting to spend the summer with this amazing artist. And of course, there's other cameos by some of his friends and stuff. But at one point, he and Tom Petty have an argument. And so this kid like is pissed off. And so he tells someone like at the local grocery store, well, you know who's renting that is Tom Petty. And then a bunch of like paparazzi and stuff arrive, and it ruins this place where Petty explains that he needs to like recharge his batteries because he's sick and tired of being on the road and being like a commodity. And so then like he ruins it. And
so then the little boy's mom shows up because she's been seeing all of the news about how her son is spending time with this massive rock star. And so she shows up one day. She'd been gone for the summer because he was with his grandparents. And she says, son, I need to show you something. And she puts down, it's a copy of his birth certificate. And she says, I know I told you that your dad died in a skiing accident when you were just a little baby, but that's not true. Your father is actually the rock star Tom Petty of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I'm really surprised that fate has brought you two back together. But I need you to embrace this. The only thing is, I need you to be aware you can never kiss him on the mouth.
You'll travel back in time.
You will travel back in time if you do.
He's been obsessed with time travel.
It's a curse.
That's how we met. At MIT.
Yeah, it's a curse that's been placed upon his family that if they meddle with time travel.
Used to be called, the original name of the band was Tom Petty and the Time Breakers.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately.
So, okay, I was thinking this yesterday as I was looking at my wall of VHS tapes on my house.
Were you clothed? What were you wearing?
I was in gym shorts,
okay,
underwear, socks, gym shorts, t-shirt, glasses.
What do you call cotton pants that have elastic at the waist and at the bottom? What do you call those?
Sweatpants?
Okay, I call those gym bottoms.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before. Yeah. I was looking at my VHS tapes, and I have 2 of the 3 films in the Look Who's Talking trilogy. So
Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking Now?
Yeah, so there's Look Who's Talking 2,
okay,
and then Look Who's Talking Now is the third one. The first one, we see a sperm go in an egg, and then a boy voiced by Bruce Willis.
Correct.
Can talk that the audience can hear, but the parents can't. And in the second film, he gets a little sister voiced by Roseanne, I believe,
Correct.
right? Is it still Bruce Willis?
Yes.
In the third film, the kids can now speak.
Correct.
And so it's their dog and cat?
Dogs.
Just 2 dogs? Okay,
yes.
It's their dogs.
Do you know who they're voiced by?
Is Danny DeVito?
Correct.
I'm forgetting the female.
Diane Keaton.
Diane Keaton.
No. Is it Diane Keaton?
I don't know.
Maybe Bette Midler.
We'll look it up here in a little bit.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Diane Keaton because it's Bette Midler who voices a dog in Oliver and Company.
Got it. So Amblin Entertainment reaches out to you. I don't know if they exist anymore, but they've reached out and they've acquired the rights to the Look Who's Talking franchise. And they're saying, JJ, we've got $15 million we can put behind this. I need you to come up with the premise for Look Who's Talking 4. And it shares canon with these previous 3 films. Where do you go from talking dogs?
I think it's very simple. I think now you no longer use John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, right? Like as the adult.
I want to see.
They're too old.
I want to see the through line. I mean, I want to feel connected.
What happens is it's their son. Well, it's technically not John Travolta's son. That's it's right. Her son with George Segal. Yeah. Right. So that man has a baby.
Travolta was like, he's your father, but he ain't your daddy.
Right. So that man has a baby, and one night while he's like, the baby's crying, and it's a baby boy, he says like, ugh, if only like please, I just want my life back. And so he swaps bodies with the baby. And it's a shot of like looking up at the crib, and like he looks at his little baby hands, he goes, I'm a baby, and it's voiced by Bruce Willis again. And then the baby runs in as like him in a adult form, and they figure out that they've exchanged. And so that also gets a voiceover from another thing, and they can hear each other.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I thought what you were going to say was that suddenly for the first time an adult can hear the baby talk, and that's the new twist.
But it's just because they body swapped.
It's because so it's not just a Dr. Dolittle. It's also a Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's a Freaky Dr. Friday. I think that would play. And John Travolta is in it. He doesn't get X'd out of it. And so is Kirstie Alley, but they're not a big role.
You know what's funny? If you had 2 dogs and one dog was the mom to the other dog, you would have no idea if they've ever experienced a Freaky Friday situation. You'd have no clue. You wouldn't be able to hear them talk and be like, oh, this is really mom in daughter's body.
I've been on this kick of watching Tales from the Crypt episodes, which, by the way, someone has brilliantly curated almost every Tales from the Crypt on YouTube. It's fantastic.
Really?
Okay. And there are episodes that speak to me in ways that other ones don't. For example, there's an amazing episode with Demi Moore and Jeffrey Tambor, where Demi Moore is this like, she works at kind of like it's not a strip club, but it's like a dance hall. And Jeffrey Tambor shows up and they put this big gross nose and these janky teeth on him. And he keeps being like, come on, baby. Like,
it's funny, he's already pretty there.
I know, right? But they were like, we really got to like ugg you up.
You're too handsome, Jeffrey Tambor.
And so he's like, when are you going to understand? Like, you and me, we're meant to be together, baby. And so she goes to this soothsayer. And this like soothsayer like predicts like 3 things for her. One of them being, you're going to marry a man and then inherit a lot of money, you know, like, you're going to marry this man who's going to inherit a lot of money. And she describes him. So the first thing is something like she goes and it's like, watch out because, you know, a piano's going to fall and something. And so these 2 other things come true. And then she realizes she has to marry Jeffrey Tambor. And so she marries him, and then like 6 months go by and like she's sick and tired of being the wife to this disgusting like pig of a man. And she asks him like, you know, do you have any like relatives? And he's like, well, yeah, my uncle owns like a big paint factory. And she's like, oh, that must be it, right? So more time goes by and she's like, hey, maybe we could ask that uncle of yours for help. And he's like, oh, I haven't talked to that guy since I was like a little kid. Like, you know, he's got children of his own anyway. And so she's like, I've been with you, you disgusting human being. And so she leaves and she goes to a liquor store and she's in line and then she pays for her liquor and then whoop, 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 whoop. And it's like, you're our 10,000th customer. And so she won like $5 million. And so she goes and she tells the soothsayer, you were wrong. And she's like, he will inherit money. And so he kills her and inherits her $5 million.
Gotcha.
Which is just, it's this, you know, they really did a good job with Tales from the Crypt and like having a nice twist at the end and stuff like that you don't necessarily see coming.
And it is Demi? That's how you're supposed to say it?
Demi, yeah.
Demi? Yeah.
I mean, that's how I hear people say it in interviews versus Demi.
I think
And
you're
do you know
right.
how I got to that? Because she was married to Bruce Willis. Done. That's my connection.
Skip and the jump.
Okay. So give me another number.
2.
Okay. This is under starter questions. What's a movie you've seen at least 5 times?
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The first one?
Oh my God, that's my favorite movie of all time for sure. Just based on, I could probably recite it from memory to aliens if they ever asked me to. Right, like when in the next scene this happens, and like in fine detail.
I was watching the second one just yesterday. Yeah. No joke, because David Warner just died. Who was Professor Perry.
Rest in peace.
And I noticed some things I hadn't noticed like as a kid, but like Donatello's line delivery of when Shredder has threatened to release Toka and Razor in Central Park, and like, how are they going to avoid all those people? And which is funny because then they end up in a giant nightclub with them full of people
and Vanilla Ice. Yeah.
He claims that it took him 30 minutes to write the turtle rap.
I don't doubt that.
He's like, I went to a hotel room. I had this beats machine, and before you knew it, I knew the turtles could get down.
Yep. No. Yeah. There's no question. No question that was done very, very quickly.
Also, here's something I don't understand. So when Shredder takes the ooze, like he must drink it, right,
or something. Yeah.
He like not only does his body mutate, but all of his armor as well.
Yeah. You're right.
So I don't understand how that works.
Yeah. Definitely illogical.
Also, I think I had like an epiphany. So you've seen the movie Jingle All the Way?
I want to know how this got connected.
I'm pretty sure that they reused the.
Oh, doesn't he have a superhero costume in that? Isn't there? Or no. I'm thinking,
yeah.
There's a toy that he has to get,
Turbo
right?
Man.
Yeah,
and like it's pretty much an Iron Man ripoff, but Iron Man has a sidekick named Booster.
Turbo Man does?
Turbo Man does. And the guy who plays Booger in Revenge of the Nerds is the guy who's in the Booster costume. I'm pretty sure they reuse. Is Razor is the turtle, is the tortoise, and Toka's the wolf?
I think.
Or is it other way around?
I think Toka is the turtle. I believe Toka is the turtle.
And so Razor?
Razor is the wolf, I believe.
So I think they reused the Razor costume and then just dyed it pink and added like some other stuff to be the Booster costume.
Really?
Yeah.
I now have to take a look at this.
I mean, you're gonna have to look at side by side, but like I was watching
the
like his
sidekick and he's like a monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna take a look at that now.
Yeah. I mean, it's to the
okay,
point.
I'm gonna just look at it right now. I've got an internet in front of me.
Like I was looking at this and I'm like, there's too many similarities. Like even if all they did was take the down to like the gyros and all that kind of and gizmos and whatnot, and then just put like a new fur over the top, the facial expressions were almost like exactly the same when you watch like Booster
from Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way, played by the guy who played Booger, who I think has the record.
Oh, no. I don't think so at all.
I'm pretty sure. I'll do some deep dive. I'll let Reddit tell me. Yeah, I'm telling you. Listen, I've seen Jingle All the Way more than 5 times.
I've seen TMNT 2 1,000 times, and this is definitely not the Razor costume. It's a brand new costume.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think all they did was they had a hunch on it.
Booster's like a saber-toothed tiger. I think I can see why you're getting that, is that there's a hunch and that it's wolf-like.
No.
That's where the similarities end.
I'm going to do some deep diving into this.
You have fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to do, how about this? Is Booster...
Yeah. Is Booster Razor
just a Razor costume?
And maybe. So I hope someone from the Henson Corporation is like, oh yeah, we had to make some money, and so they contacted us about putting together a lifelike like mascot costume, and so we sent them this, and they're like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this? And Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, let's make it purple. Let's do it.
Yeah, not seeing anything.
Because, make it perfect. There's a Schwarzenegger reference in TMNT2 Secret of the Ooze that would lead it perfectly to make you think that these are both the same universe.
I'm trying to remember what's the reference.
Do you really think this is going to work? Like, is Schwarzenegger hard to spell?
Yeah. If you got cast in a TMNT movie, who do you think they'd cast you as?
Oh,
any character in the universe is doable.
If I had to be cast in that, I mean, who I'd want to be is Baxter Stockman. Who do I think that they'd actually cast me as? Probably like her cameraman. What's his name?
Vernon.
That's
what I was thinking I'd be too.
Yeah. Is that what we all associate ourselves with?
I think we'd all just be Vernon.
The schlump.
Well, have you played? So you've played the new Turtles game. So Vernon collects VHS tapes.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
He's such a loser. And I felt so attacked while playing it, but at the same time, I got it. Like, yep.
You're like, yes,
you're not wrong about this guy.
I mean, I'm not as well versed with the TMNT villains, and so I'm wondering if there's like a villain that because like I couldn't be Leatherhead because I don't have that good of a Southern accent.
What about Rat King?
No, because here's the thing. I think Rat King is like pretty buff. I don't think he's slovenly. Not that I'm slovenly, but like, I think he's kind of buff underneath his red.
Would you be Wingnut?
Which one's Wingnut?
Isn't he like the big bat thing? There's Wingnut and Screwloose.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a big bat and then a mosquito that hangs out with them. They're both mutants. You would be a great Baxter Stockman.
Actually, you know who I'd be? I'd be the body that Krang gets in.
So I didn't want to say that because I said that to you once before.
Yeah.
And you got really mad.
I got real offended.
Really, like previously I've said that to you once and you got pissed. I was like, that was a little below the belt, I guess. But I guess it's on the table now.
Yeah, right. I mean, now it's in my mind.
You know who... I actually never sat down and watched the second Michael Bay, even though I know he's not technically the director, but it's the Michael Bay Turtles.
Yeah.
And I should, just because Bebop and Rocksteady finally made it into a movie. And as a Turtles completist, I should watch it at some point.
I'm telling you right here, right now, do not. It is so bad, Tucker. Like, it's so bad that when I left the theater, we had to do a video review of it for the radio station I was working on. And I kicked the air so hard, so high, that I ended up falling on my back.
For Halloween, you and Phil Lund should go as Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Which one would you be? You'd be Rocksteady. He'd be Bebop. He'd be the Warthog.
Bebop, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I will say this though. Have you seen that Turtles? So there was like a Turtles television series that came out like in 2008 to maybe like 2011. That was a little grittier and was kind of like more realistic. It wasn't like the early or late 80s, early 90s Turtles was like very cartoony. This was supposed to be a little more like serious in tone.
Yep.
Have you seen the crossover movie that they made between those two, where those guys end up in there like, and they're like, who are these idiots?
And then like the original comic book ones who are really mean and violent show up. That's pretty good. Have you watched Batman versus the Ninja Turtles? That movie is awesome.
Really good?
That movie is fantastic. There is an extended fight between Batman and Shredder that is bonkers good.
I'll see that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of references to our generation of TMNT fans in that.
I'll pick a random movie that I've seen more than 5 times that I like know inside and out, so much so that every time I hold a glass of scotch, I reenact a small part of that movie just to myself. And it's Red Dragon, which is it's the first of the Hannibal Lecter
From Red Dragon,
like in continuity.
Whenever you have scotch in your hand.
Yeah. So there's a scene where Edward Norton is calling up the lawyer who's handling the estate for one of these murdered families. And he goes, would you mind packing that stuff up and sending it to me? And the lawyer is holding the phone up to his ear, and he looks down at the scotch and goes, and he's like, clearly like, do I want to do this? And Edward Norton's like, I'm going to play this guy. He goes, I know it's a pain in the ass, but he goes, yeah, no problem. I'll get my secretary to do it. And then
it's just that line.
And I'm like, but promise me one thing. Tell me you're going to get this son of a bitch.
Okay.
And so what I do is I look at my scotch and sniff. And it's a great little piece of acting. It's just and this sniff. Guy, I've never seen him in anything else. Just this sniff. Guy. Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
That's great.
Go as him for Halloween.
Ooh, that'd be a deep cut. Be like, are you the lawyer who has 2 lines of dialogue from Red Dragon? I sure am. Oh, God, are you married? The best Halloween costume, the one I got the most attention for of all time, is not any of my John Candy characters. It is without a doubt the year I dressed as Honey Boo Boo. And I won 3 costume contests in the city of Bozeman as we walked from party to party to party. It was pretty amazing.
I'm surprised there were that many contests in Bozeman.
Oh, Bozeman shuts down like their main street so that people can just filter and go all over the place.
I haven't celebrated Halloween right in years.
I know. You used to be the king of Halloween with your parties and your... Was it Unleash the Beast is what you and Russell called it?
Release the Beast. Yeah, I want to do it again at some point, but a lot of moving parts, a lot of time.
You ever say that when you're with like children? Like, children, there's a beast behind this wall.
Oh, all the time.
We're going to release the beast.
That's how I keep them in line.
Good move.
As I threaten them with violence from a monster. Monster unseen.
Are parents telling kids the same tales that we heard to keep us safe in those situations? Like, for example,
I think they're
don't swallow gum because it'll sit in you for like 7 years.
There's probably a YouTube channel that's just devoted to that now. That's just devoted to that kind of shit. I think they put the iPad in front of the kid and they press play on the.
So they're not taking part in like actually like teaching the kid anything?
No.
Okay, let's do one more of these. You pick.
40.
Okay, 40. Okay. If you were going to join a band, which would you join and what would be your role in the band?
Do
you have an answer?
I need to find the name of the band. I was following them on Instagram for a little bit. There's like an all-girl heavy metal band.
Oh. Let me tell you about an all-girl band that I love. Have you ever seen Thunderstruck? It's an all-girl AC/DC cover band that rocks.
I would be their like guitar tech.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I would do. That's it, because I have like no musical talent whatsoever.
Yeah, neither do I. That's why I would be the manager.
Yeah.
And I would want to be the manager for... I know the low-hanging fruit here would be like the Dave Matthews Band, but it's not going to be that. Because... there's a whole thing that goes along with like DMB, and I think that I'd want to be the manager for. I'd want to be the manager for the Wonders.
The fake band from That Thing You Do.
Because then I would
Did you know that I didn't know that was a fake band for years?
Really?
I thought it was a biopic of an actual band.
Oh, you didn't know that Tom Everett was an actor?
I knew
or
that
Steve Zahn?
I knew that those were
Or
actors.
Ethan Embry?
It's called a biopic, JJ, where they bring in actors to play real people. That's what I thought I was watching. I thought I was watching a movie about an actual group from that era. I was not
really?
whatsoever. Yeah. Years after that, it took me to find out.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
Do you know who directed that movie?
I know Tom Hanks is in it, but he didn't direct it, though.
He sure did.
He directed it.
Yeah.
Directed it. Okay.
And that's where he started his production company, Playtone.
Okay.
Because that was the name of the record label that the Oneaters signed up with. Interesting fact.
Fell in love with Liv Tyler in that movie.
Oh my God. Right. In fact, I was going to start today when you were like, we're going live on Facebook. And I was like, are we going Liv Tyler on Facebook? Let's start that. Let's let that be our podcast thing. When like, hey, instead of saying we're live, we're going to say we're Liv Tyler right now.
I mean, go for it, man.
That'll be a thing that
I
we
love
start.
that this is evolving over time and just becoming a new thing every day.
Like, Tucker, will you give me a countdown until we're Liv Tyler?
Sure.
Okay. And we're going to go Liv Tyler for several other episodes?
Yeah, like we're Liv Tyler right now.
Okay.
And that's just because it's fun. And then, I think we'll keep here's what a fortune cookie told me recently. And I think this is a really good piece of advice. This is the advice I should have brought up earlier.
Okay.
Keep your plans secret for now.
Oh.
So we're going to keep our plans secret for now on this
Even
live.
from me, huh?
No, I'm just saying on this live, you and I can
Talk about it afterwards?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Keep your plans secret for now. Plus, I got to pee soon, so we should wrap up.
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap.
Cool.
Like, in fact, do we have something for wrap up? If Liv Tyler is how we go live, what's our wrap up?
Taco Crunch Wrap?
Yeah. All right, it's time to Taco Crunch wrap this thing up. And I want to start by also saying, I want to end by saying, not start.
You don't want to live Tyler.
We started.
You don't want to live Tyler.
Yeah,
you want to Taco
live
Crunch Wrap.
I want to say that I find the relationship that Liv Tyler and Steven Tyler share to be kind of creepy and weird because he's like, yeah, I'm going to make you in this music video, but we're going to need to make you sexy. And he's like, you're my dad. And he's like, I know, but I'm also Steven Tyler, baby. So as we end this episode of JJ Meets World, you guys just be kind to each other. Watch TMNT2, Secret of the Ooze, and then Jingle All the Way back to back. In fact, if you have two TVs in your house, take one and bring it to the other TV, and then just start the streaming services. I believe Jingle All the Way is a 20th Century Fox film, so it should be available on Disney+. TMNT2 is available on HBO Max right now. Watch them side by side, and you are going to see that they're virtually the same movie. I mean, it's pretty much the same exact idea, only one set in New York and the other one set in suburban Minneapolis, St. Paul. Bye! That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. So it turns out that it's not just kissing your dad. It's kissing him, but also knowing that you love him unconditionally.